Hello and welcome to my corner of the universe. I spent a great deal of my career working with classroom teachers who were non-specialist music teachers but responsible for music in their own schools and for their classrooms. I was shocked to find out that this was even a necessary thing to do in a country that had all the most wonderful cathedral choirs pretty much in the world at the time. And my colleagues in America, every time I would go back for an ACDA convention or something, would say, "Oh, you work in the UK. You are so lucky. All the wonderful British choral tradition." And that's true up to a point. But it's like everywhere else. One of the schools I taught at in my second year of teaching back in the States was at my old grade school. My grade school, I was there from year 4 to year 8, and I had 5 different music teachers. When I taught there, the last music teacher I'd had was still there, Mr. Witt. Well, at the end of that season, my job was axed because there was a tax referendum in the town that asked if they could support the school. Well, basically, to raise taxes, and no one ever wants to raise taxes, and I understand that. But what my school did, and they thought that was a brilliant idea, is they axed both of the full-time music teachers and kept both of the full-time PE teachers. I have nothing against PE, and I had nothing against those teachers. But I think the general consensus of a school that allows for that to happen and considers the arts as so invaluable, or non-valuable, I suppose. When I was teaching here, and I had been at a music service for a very long time, and had been trying to develop a youth choir and a choral program that was worthwhile belonging to, my colleagues, well, my colleagues thought I was valuable because, well, I could make up the numbers on a choir, on a school trip, on a trip abroad, but I could never have a full choir because, of course, in one year it would be the choir and an orchestral group that would go, and the other year would be the band, and the band was not welcoming to having anybody else with them on that tour. We did one tour with the band, the orchestra, and the choir. And for me, musically speaking, and for my students, it was the best tour. We even made the concession to have one of our concerts for just the choir was at a church during a service, and I think it was 10 minutes long. But of course the band people had complete full time. I had an orchestral teacher at one of these places actually say to my husband, "Well, you realize singing will always be second choice." Well, with that kind of attitude, of course it will be. Except that when players become that little bit older and they still want to make music and they're no longer playing their instruments, they frequently will belong to local choral societies, so we get them in the end. I'm tired of being told that, what I did for music education, or what music education is about, is a frill. It's not really valuable. There's been science done, there's been surveys, reviews, papers. It has been well documented that it is more than worthwhile. And yet, and a few years ago when the BBC, in their great wisdom, tried to axe the BBC singers, and there was a giant outcry from the country, shelving that particular bright idea. And now here we have Cardiff. Cardiff doing a short-sighted, stupid idea to get rid of their music there as well, because it's not valuable, because it costs too much. Where were you? Where would we have all been without the arts, particularly during the pandemic? If we hadn't had the internet and Netflix and Now TV and Disney and access to BBC, where would we all be now? Reading books? Would those people have been reading books? I have a feeling they wouldn't. Politicians, no matter where you find them, short-sighted. Universities, short-sighted. And we all keep fighting the good fight. And we have to keep fighting the good fight over and over and over again. I know that there is only a limited amount of money available to do things in this world. But you never give that much to the arts anyway, do you? So, well done, Cardiff. What an excellent job you're doing. This is going to be a little longer than usual. Cardiff. I've done a number of concerts in Cardiff over the years, conducted as well as sung, as well as done music ed programs down that way. My very, very first ABCD that I ever attended was Cardiff. That's when I first met. I was so nervous. Valuable organizations, valuable educational worth. Shame on you. From my corner of the universe to yours. Go sign the petition to keep music. Fed up.